The nomadic family who never bought a house decided to build food. Not only is it spacious enough to accommodate a family of 8, but the overall construction only took 1 week and 7 days. The two brothers chose an empty space at the foot of the mountain to start clearing. The rugged terrain, coupled with numerous 10 blocks. The two brothers also cooperated to clean up the cow soup-style large iron factory. The efficiency of 1 pull and 1 shovel has been greatly improved. Even my son joined in. The empty space in front of us began to have transportation. And the old mother has already prepared lunch. The seemingly rough dishes are actually complex in craftsmanship. Not only should it be washed clean, but it should also be cooked thoroughly. You can also easily boil a pot of barley tea. Sure enough, even with simple meals I'm happy and content. In the afternoon 8 people slept together after eating and drinking their fill. A rugged plain was born at the foot of the mountain slope, and children without amusement parks and electronic devices. It's also a pleasure to play in nature. Today's afternoon tea was grilled with big meat skewers by my old mother. It's a fresh goat caught on the Tian Shan Mountains 2 days ago. The meatballs the size of sandbags make my mouth water. The family spread blankets, washed the floor, and ate with relish. However, the construction of the home must be accelerated. The two little brothers also learned from their father to use a big shovel, but my mischievous little brother let go for a moment. The old nurse carefully bandaged it and began to rest, and the dads have already cleared the ground. Start throwing stones into the field. The stones in the wall circle are quite neat, and the next morning the women brought a sieve. Screen out fine sand from the mixed sand on the ground. The small sand particles obtained this way can be used as building materials. Some large stones are struck by hammering. Fine sand mixed with precious vein poison, or a pot of 82-year-old mountain spring. You can obtain mortar similar to cement. Fill the gaps in the stone wall. This repeated process only requires layer by layer stacking to gradually take shape. For safety reasons, the perimeter is also surrounded by thin lines. The children and grandchildren next to us are all resting and recovering from their injuries. Wait until mealtime and pick some wild vegetables not far away. Cut and add some honey cereal after processing. A plate of vegetarian hand-pulled rice is today's big meal. Some goat meat skewers are also paired with meat and vegetables. The stone house in front of us also has its original intention. I believe it won't be long before we can live in and spend this winter. The brothers in red stepped on wheat soil and dirt. Low mix cement mixed for pouring on stones. While filling the gaps, it also makes the stone wall stronger. A family with clear division of labor has someone specifically responsible for breaking large stones. Even the largest stone is instantly grasped in front of the small hammer. Through an afternoon of pounding and stacking, the stone walls are stacked layer by layer, reaching up to the shoulders of children. The old mother is responsible for cooking 3 meals a day. There are fresh ingredients all around us, and only when a family has enough to eat can they have the strength to continue working. At this point, considering that the natural light has already flowed out of the window position, women carry branches and trunks from the forest. The crossbeam that runs through the entire object as a continuation of upward construction, and also use tree branches as support above the doors and windows. Using soil to connect materials in the process of planing. Only by building upwards can we ensure the safety of the overall structure. However, there is still some time left until the completion. Clearing an empty space aside for the safety of the children. Insert the ancestral stainless steel frame into the underground, interconnected to form a tent-like structure. Then lay the 82-year-old cloth on top. A simple tent can serve as the breath dome for now. At least it can protect the family from mountain wind and rain at night. The next morning, I found a truck driver on the roadside and pulled some thin bamboo poles. Intended as the roof structure for a stone house. But before that, we need to remove the outer skin and excess branches first. Once the surface is smooth, you can connect it with a rope. Then place a wooden frame above the roof. This transparency is still quite feasible. One left and one right completely covered the stone house. Just need to lay a waterproof plastic cloth. The food is already sufficient for living purposes, but for a nomadic family that pursues aesthetics and functionality to the extreme, we also need to lay soil on top to fix it. And with the windows inside, the lighting is quite good. You can get dozens of square meters of food fillers. Living with a family of 8 after interior decoration is not a problem. Men use water to smooth out the soil on the stone wall. After it dries up, my wife will bring some crushed stones. The irregular and neat style is somewhat structuralist. After sticking a circle of gravel at the bottom, start to mud the stone wall. Watching the skillful technique go into decoration, at least 500 a day. and the neat wall can continue to be covered with these small stones, both for aesthetics and to make the overall structure more sturdy. Once it rains and there are no gravel to cover the mud house, it becomes rotten mud. Women use stones of different sizes to distinguish between different parts. The overall design of the storefront is quite unique. Some parts have been left blank, can be extended to create a small table or seat. During the Spring Festival couplets can still be posted. Next, the other 4 walls only need to be prepared in the same way. I also tied a swing on a big tree at the entrance as infrastructure. Let children grow up happily during the long construction process. And every night, the 2 brothers lay blankets and sleep on the roof. Because the interior of the real house is still in a mess, we still need to spend a lot of time on interior decoration. Firstly, clean up a large amount of scattered stones from the construction process aside. Continuing with the old recipe of fine sand mixed with wheat flour. Lay it on the ground and wait for it to naturally solidify. You can get a smoother ground. After laying the wheat stack again, flatten it with a rolling stone. This natural floor must be comfortable. Each window not only protects privacy but also resists cold winds. And the men are not slacking off, building small food nearby. I don't need to say much about the design and concealment of this pit. Move directly from the car to a 5-star hotel with the same style of parking space. Placed in the pit, the size is just right. The pipeline is heated over high fire and then connected, directly leading to the pre-dug pit. The collision of primitive food with modern toilets is indeed somewhat abstract. However, considering hygiene, it is understandable. The toilet is still irrigated with soil and weed. Above there are tree branches covered with plastic cloth and tree leaves. The large pit next to it is covered with tree branches and plastic sheeting. After all, no one wants to see or smell it. Make the entire toilet environment elegant. There is a sense of impact of primitivism and modernity. I believe it won't be long before family of 8 can live in perfect food. It's so fully functional that I want to go in and sleep for a while. Recently, men have added stone walls to the edge of cliffs for the safety of their families. But as more people walked, there was this vacant land. I heard that the food is almost ready, and the family has brought in a van of people. Children on summer vacation can also help at the campsite. At the same time, it also brought a cart of pebbles. I made homemade cement in the same way at my doorstep. After I was on the road, I placed the pebbles one by one. But at this moment, the sky was clear for thousands of miles, but it started to rain. This pair of muddy food is a big test. If we put in all the efforts of his family these days, it will be in vain. Even helped with laying the pebbles. This road surface serves the function of massaging the soles of the feet outside. The environment around the food rain is becoming more and more like a village. At this moment, the man picked up a large iron bucket from the roadside. Come here again and get clean and delicious hot water. But when he returned home, the man found that the mud wall had cracked. We must paint before the collapse. Homemade pure natural polluted mud has no false defects. After waiting for it to dry, there's a feeling of a hairy embryo chamber. You can easily paint the windows without wasting any time. The family cleaned up their food and laid the carpet that has been passed down for 100 years. The furniture in the tent also filled the room. The cobblestone road outside extends all the way. At this speed, I'm afraid we'll have to connect to the highway. The design of the roof is the same as that of the ground floor on the first floor. Lay the wheat stack and press it firmly with a rolling stone. Thick mud blocks combine to form a sturdy hole. However, for a family with an increasing population, we have already started the construction of the physical second floor. Transport a large number of thin bamboo poles and stack them on the roof. There are also many thicker and larger woods used for cutting. The imaginative oil woodman placed a bucket of water on the tree trunk. Pour cement and wait for it to dry before placing it on the roof. The classic 4 branches serve as support for the second floor and are connected to each other. Then you can take out the previously woven thin bamboo pole as a wall to resist the cold wind. There's nothing more comfortable behind the carpet than this bamboo mat. Build steps up the hillside behind the house. At this point, both the first and second floors have been completed. However, in order to obtain more food, I plan to enclose the land on site and build a farmhouse farm to start breeding and planting. A piece of vacant land along the stone house has also been developed into flat ground. It can be a great place for a family to gather around the stove at night. Next to it is the Happy Farm, which I rent myself. It seems that we need to establish an outdoor Tawan tribe.